Joan, did you want to say anything? Joan Geiger's not here? Is Liz here?
Liz just left.
Okay, all right. Joan asked to, for a presentation, and Liz talked to the Journal, so I thought that maybe they would like to say something, so. Are there any other presentations? If not, Mark Perosio, sorry, Mark, of Southern Cuyahoga County and Cortland County Coalition here.
Hi, my name is Mark Perosio. I'm a 32-year resident and farmer in Groton, up on Devlin Road, and I'm also a leaseholder. One question, can I sit down? I got bad knees.
Yeah, go ahead. Move the mic down.
Yep. Well, I'm short, I'm probably tall enough. One thing I did, one thing I want to make very clear is that I am not an expert on gas drilling. I am not a geologist. I'm a 32-year resident of this township, and I am very concerned about some people trying to pass themselves off as experts in this endeavor concerning gas drilling. I was very familiar with Northeast Bradford County, Pennsylvania in 2006. So here about a month ago, I went down and took some pictures and talked to people that were actually affected by the gas drilling in Northeast Bradford County. And I'd like to pass around photos, take a look at them, and pass them around, and I'd like him to end up with you, and I'd like them to end up in Jeff Ebner's hands. He's in North Carolina right now, but he knows I'm working on this. When people get them, I went down there, I drove to Pennsylvania, I knew the area well in 2006, and I stopped where I saw a gas well. And the first gas well I saw was literally 100 yards over the New York State border on a dirt road, which I found is quite odd. But I went and knocked on the door, and a woman came to the door, and I said, do you mind telling me what has happened and what your experiences were with the gas well? And right across the street on her property, they put a well in. It has one pad, 4 wells. She said it was a mess for about 30 days, and then they were all done and they were out of there. They put the dirt road back to better than it was before. And I can attest to you, because that dirt road that is in Pennsylvania, part of it's in New York, and I almost decided not to go on the New York part because there was potholes about this big. And in those pictures there, you will be able to see that the dirt road part of it is quite good in Pennsylvania. Now I went further down, and it eventually goes to a paved road. I turned left on the paved road. I knew that road very well because I had friends on that road that I was quite close with in 2006. There's a picture of that road in my photographs. There are 3 gas wells located about 1.5 miles apart from each other on that road. I stopped and knocked on this fella's door. He came out, he assured me his dog wasn't going to bite him, and we talked. His gas well, they drilled on his property. They put a freshwater pond on his property. They fenced it off, kept things clean. They have access to everything that they want. He is perfectly content. I then went up to the next farm, and in Pennsylvania, the road is right here, and literally the farm is right where you're sitting, Sheldon. It's 10 or 15 feet off the road. They improved the road, they widened it, they paved it, they put shoulders on it, they loaded it to 45 miles an hour. And I sat out there and I talked with the farmers. It was a woman and her daughter. Had been there a million years. I think it's 3rd or 4th generation farm. They have a well pad on their property that has 6 wells on it, drilled and capped. They said they drilled, there was 24/7 for 30 days, and they left. Fenced it off, everybody's fine. Now, while we were sitting there talking, leaning up against my car, they were fracking a well someplace around that area. And the speed limit is 45 miles an hour. The only people going 45 miles an hour on that road were the fracking trucks, were the water trucks. They were 10-wheelers, they were not tractor trailers. They were doing 45 miles an hour, staying on their side of the road. The locals were going 70 miles an hour up the middle of the road. And this has been a problem ever since they got decent roads in Pennsylvania. After speaking with 3 or 4 different farmers and hearing all the same stuff, I decided to go over and talk to the school district and see what was going on there and talk to some of the village officials. I walked into the school unannounced, unknown stranger. The superintendent of the school said, please come in, we'll talk. And I talked to 3 or 4 teachers, the superintendent, some other officials from the school. Now, Northeast Bradford County has a school district approximately like Groton. They graduate 60, 65 kids. It's a rural area. I mean, they draw from a large geographical area, much bigger than we do in Groton, to get their kids. And I said, what's going on here? I said, what are your feelings? She said, there's been a couple of problems. She said, initially, when they started drilling, they destroyed the roads. Because there was no question about it, it was a problem. They then got very quickly in tune to the stuff that if they're gonna drill a gas well in your road, Sheldon, they come in and they pave the road, bring it up to standards to handle the truck traffic and everything else, and then they drill. They do not go in and destroy and then rebuild. They build and then drill. It's been a tremendous PR, and it's helped everybody out down there. And they said right now the roads in Bradford County, Pennsylvania, are better than they ever have been, and they're better than certainly the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation could ever do. And I can tell you from experience that picture that you see and those things, that road is tremendous compared to what it was. It wasn't as good as Tucker Hill was 6 years ago when I knew it. I asked what were the real problems with water, et cetera, et cetera. In Bradford County, Northeast Bradford County, Pennsylvania, there has not been one incident of problems with water. They have been very, very careful. The gas companies are extremely vigilant about taking care of what they have. And that pictures you will see on every well site, you will see 800 numbers, et cetera, to call if there's a problem. If a trucker gets too fast, they call, and the trucker's basically fired at the point. They are very careful about that. There was an increase in DWIs with the truckers. They are kids. Friday and Saturday night, the townspeople complained vehemently, quickly, and what has happened is that the gas companies have instituted bed checks and curfews, and if you're not there, if you show up to work drunk, you're fired, you're done. It basically eliminated the problem back to the percentage that you see DWIs in any small town, you know, whatever that percentage is. So it's whatever gloom and doom you are being told here, the reality of it is completely different. They are very happy in Northeast Bradford County, Pennsylvania. There are jobs, there are people working, the farms are doing better, the ones that had decided not to retire when they got the gas money. It generally looks a lot better than it did. There was far more environmental damage done to that area with the flood last year than anything that has happened with the gas wells. I still see chairs and tires and plastic 15, 20 feet up in the trees off where the creek runs through there. That must have been a pretty bad flood that went through a week ago. I guess the water went over the bridge down there. So that was a real serious environmental problem. They said they have no problems. They are genuinely quite content with what has happened and quite content with how the gas companies have handled their situation. They do have a public relations problem with the gas companies right now because when they initially did the leases with individual landowners, before they started drilling, they negotiated with them individually. They may have given you $50 an acre, Sheldon, because they happen to catch you on a day where you needed money to redo a tractor, et cetera, and Rick may have held out and they may have given him $3,000 an acre. What has happened is now that in this summer of 2012, they are going to build the pipeline out of that area to Bingham, up north of the Millennium Pipeline and the southern tier. The people that got the $50 an acre, they want to get even, so to speak, with the gas company. So they are asking exorbitant amounts of money for the rights to put a pipeline across there. And that is a problem. Okay, we're done with Pennsylvania. Tioga County, New York, just effected a gas lease on 125,000 acres for I don't know what this sum was, but they are not going to use hydraulic fracturing. They are going to use propane, which takes the water completely off the table. It takes the well pads from 1 every 1 square mile to 1 every 2 square miles. A propane fracked well uses 50,000 gallons of propane and absolutely no water. The propane is then taken back out, it's recondensed, and it's moved on to the next particular thing. So we are very, very happy that Tioga County was able to get that, because the attorney that represented Tioga County is representing our coalition here. Now, Linda Adams, the other coalition in Tompkins County, is using Scott Kurkowski, and they are very excited about the fact that the propane is going to be used, and they're going to try to get that also. So this was a tremendous step forward. And the other tremendously important item is that the lease in Tioga County guards against flipping, which is basically if they come in and they offer the coalition $1,000 an acre, let's say Chesapeake comes in, just for a name, they give the coalition $1,000 an acre, then they turn around and they sell to ExxonMobil for $15,000 an acre. Chesapeake pockets $14,000 an acre. Perfectly legal. Tioga County was able to negotiate that that's not going to happen. If they flip it, the money goes back to the landowners. It stays in the county. And that's a huge deal, because that was a very significant economic abuse of leases. I know it happened around here. I know Anschutz sold to Chesapeake a lot of leases when we got the $35, $40, $50 an acre lease back in 2006. Now, the other two items I would like to speak on are this. Right now, you can go to Honda of Ithaca and you can buy a natural gas burning Honda Civic for about $27,000. They're there. You can then turn around and go buy a home filling unit, and if you have natural gas in your home, you can put that in there and you can have a slow fill natural gas pumping station at your home, and the cost of natural gas, when you make the comparison to gasoline at the station, comes out to about $1 a gallon, because the price of natural gas keeps going down every day. In that handout that I had, you can see that the price of natural gas today in Chicago wholesale was $2.05 for a million BTUs. It's continuing to go down. And the best kept secret right now is the fact that we can't use this. I would love to see Groton initiate through a grant form that I've got in my packet here, having someone come in and put a natural gas pumping station, a fast fill, which there are 540 in this country, and put it up where the pipeline crosses 222, and put a business in that you can start to convert your vehicle and your vehicle and your vehicle from gasoline to natural gas. You can save a whole bunch of money. The turnaround is very quick in how fast you will recover the cost of conversion. And the fact is that if you burn a gallon of gasoline, you're going to put 19 pounds of carbon dioxide in the air. If you burn the same equivalent of natural gas, you're going to put 6 pounds of carbon dioxide in the air. So if you're really, really concerned about the environment and the carbon footprint, this natural gas has an awful lot to offer. And finally, if you do go ahead and you do institute a moratorium, that is your decision. But I feel, from my perspective, as being a citizen of this community and a citizen of this country, is an extremely selfish item. 17% of our electricity in this state comes from coal. We kill coal miners every year. We killed a bunch last year in West Virginia. So what you're saying is, if you don't want to develop this natural gas, it's okay to kill coal miners in West Virginia because they provide us coal. That's okay because we don't know them. It's also stating that if you buy gas at Sunoco, which is Middle East oil, it's okay to send our soldiers over there to protect a very volatile part of the world that happens to have the damn oil in it. And my neighbor was one of the first kids killed in 2003 when we went to war again. But you're saying, but with a ban, that it's okay to send our soldiers over there because we don't want to take any risk at all in developing a natural resource that we have. I have been driving a car since 1973. I got my license about 2 months before the first oil embargo. And every president, including Richard Nixon, right on up to President Obama, whatever side of the political fence you're sitting on, wants us to get off foreign oil. And I have not seen anything in the 35 years that has done that, except this has the possibility to do it. This whole gas play has turned out to be far more extensive than anybody has thought. They are flaring gas in the Bakken play in the Dakotas because they have so much natural gas out there and it's so worthless right now trying to get to the oil. and there is more oil in the shale plays out in the Bakken play in North and South Dakota than there is in Saudi Arabia. I'd like to see this developed. I'd like to see it developed safely. I am very happy that we are going to give the propane fracking a chance, and I think this is a good thing for the community. And there's one other thing I'd like to state is we're about 2 years away from having our school district go down the tubes and have to consolidate with another school district. School districts all over New York State are in serious trouble. We need some money to come into the school district to stabilize the situation that doesn't continue to raise taxes. My farm pays about $15,000 a year taxes. My friend's farm in Pennsylvania, which is about the same size, pays about $2,400 for about the same, comparing the same size farm to same acreage. I don't think farmers can handle a hell of a lot more taxes on their shoulders to satisfy everybody else and to satisfy the needs of the state and to satisfy the needs of the community. We need this gas, we need it done correctly, we need it done safely in order to continue on, because New York State lost 2 congressional seats here in with this last census. The population is going down. This whole state is not in very good shape. I'd like to see this gas used safely and correctly moving forward. Thank you.
I forgot, does the board have any questions for GROC or Southern P County and Cortland County Coalition? Okay. Okay, well, thank you.
Hope the pictures get up to you. Keep the pictures and the other information. And when Jeff comes back from vacation, make sure he gets to him. Thank you.
Can those pictures be available at the town hall for the public to see? I'm sorry to speak out, but they
If
didn't
you want
get
the
around to
negatives,
those.
if you want the negatives, I'll give you.
No, I don't want the negatives. I'd just like to look at the game and look at the pictures. Okay.
Yeah, this isn't a binder in a folder that comes from the U.S. House of Representatives with Congressman Hanna's card on it. So I'm wondering what the connection is.
I just put them in there.
Why
Because,
is it from the U.S. House of
because
Representatives?
if you look inside the folder, there is a grant writing proposal and how to write a grant. I just put that in there. I'm not trying to draw Representative Hanna or anybody else into this or have this misconstrued as something that it's not. I just simply use that as efficiency.
Okay.
Okay, nothing more.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you. All right, Caitlin said she can scan the pictures and have them available
Okay.
Thank you.
on the website. Is that
Thank
right?
you. Or, in the office, if people could come by and look everything here.
Moving on, discussion action, intermunicipal recreation partnership.